Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for attending the Superintendent's Critical Conversation Community Meeting. As always, we value your input in our efforts to be the best school district in the nation. As you know, we are committed to high performance, and there's no way that we can achieve that goal without your support. So we certainly thank you for being in attendance tonight. I'd like to first acknowledge all of our elected officials, particularly our board. I thought I saw some board members, Ms. Jasmine Bowles, Mr. Benjamin Straker. Thank you for your leadership and support. And we also would like to acknowledge any other officials that may be present this evening, if you would stand and be acknowledged. I know one who's not here, but we have to pause for a moment to thank her, and that's Commissioner Sona Singleton Gregory for allowing us to utilize this facility. We certainly thank you, and Ms. Lavana Cooper, did I get it right?
Yes, ma'am.
And your team for helping us as always, so we certainly thank you. We'll be respectful of your time. We know that there's another meeting that's taking place this evening with the Clayton County Commissioners. We believe it starts at 7 p.m. So we'll get started and make sure that you hopefully have enough time to attend that meeting as well. So we ask that you hold all of your questions towards the end of the superintendent's presentation. We'll be happy to entertain those at that time. We also are streaming live, so during this portion of Q&A, I will make sure that myself and or a member of my team floats around with microphones so you can speak into the mic, so making sure that others who are certainly viewing in this evening can listen to your questions and concerns. So without further ado, I would like to welcome to the podium our fearless leader, the Honorable Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Morcease J.D.
Jada said fearless, and I said tired. It's been a long day. But thank you all for being here tonight, and in respect of your time, we will continue to follow the agenda. We want to be very exhaustive in sharing information, but we want to do it in a manner that respects you, your time, etc. We want to again acknowledge our board members who are here, who are very supportive of the direction that we're moving the district in. So let's just give them a hand for their support. And I see principals out there. Where are my principals? Principals, stand up, principals. Let's see. Principals, school leaders. Let's give them a hand. It's so good to see you over here. It's so good to see you. Is that Rex Mill I see? All right, Ms. Turner. Rex. You know, did you all know that's one of is it one of the only STEM middle schools? Did y'all hear that? STEM. Certified. Thank you. Thank you for being here today. Thank you. So we have a quick agenda here today. So what we're going to do is allow the members on the team to share the topics, and then we're going to entertain some Q&A. We'd like you to just listen, jot down your questions, and just know that we're working as a school system. And I'll just say this before Dr. Lee, I believe, is the first one who will come. As I had a conversation with our principals today, the question that we're asking ourselves is, will we continue to do what we've been doing and expect to get different outcomes? Are we going to create a school system based upon low expectations, or are we going to create a school system based upon high expectations for all students? All students. And so today you'll hear our efforts towards basically disrupting the status quo, disrupting some things, disrupting a few kids performing well, but the majority possibly not performing well, in an effort to get all of our students performing at higher levels, and of course, as we often say, college and career ready, but most importantly, life ready. We need our kids to be critical thinkers. We need them to be consumers of information, and we need them to be able to use that information in order to solve problems. And their world clearly is full of problems. Our world is full of problems. So at this time, Dr. Lee is going to come, and then after her, we'll just follow.
Good afternoon or evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. So at this time, I'm excited to share with you our Advanced Learning Initiative. Dr. Beasley mentioned the term disruptor because that is truly what we're doing to produce better outcomes for more of our students. So, and I would tell you as a disruptor because when we spoke to some of our national partners, such as College Board, they're the owners of Advanced Placement, SAT, ACT, as well as another national advanced organization, we were looking for a model. And guess what they said? There is not a model. There is no one else who we know of that are making the efforts that you're making to improve equitable outcomes for all students. So will it be challenging? There will be some challenges, but as you'll see in the plan, we thought through quite a bit of it, and we're prepared to confront those challenges on behalf of our students. So at this time, I would like to share with you a video that reflects some of our students and parents who have had advanced learning accelerated experiences talking about the benefits, okay?
When you think of culture, you think about what's the norm. And so for our school district, we're excited to share the measures that we're taking to cultivate a culture of high performance. We are moving beyond traditional educational practices. We want to ensure that more of our students have access to accelerated and advanced learning experiences because it's within these classrooms that our students' critical thinking, creativity, communication, and adaptation skills are developed. Students who apply themselves to rigorous coursework open themselves up to growing and critical thinking, collaborating with innovative people and practices, and learning how to organize their future.
You learn many skills, become more prepared to handle harder challenges. Because the workload is harder, they can have a challenge that they wouldn't have otherwise, and they can grow exponentially beyond their peers with who they're going to be.
To see you really being challenged to be your best has really been remarkable. Classes that you say are rigorous. However, he feels prepared. He feels confident that he can be successful in those classes, even before going to college.
You know, it definitely taught me to show care. It made me more independent. It taught me that college might not always be easy, but it's important to keep a strong support system around you and give it all that you have.
A lot of times whenever students are faced with a more difficult course, it's kind of like walking on thin ice. They're not quite sure where to go until they move that direction. The fact that they have somebody there to help them through it, the fact that they can see successes, that helps build that motivation.
While you're trying to balance high school and games and fun and clubs, while also trying to balance those grades, definitely takes time management. How to get a planner.
I used to procrastinate a lot, and it's been really stressful. But AP classes, procrastination will lead you failure, especially when you're taking more than one.
He has become very organized. His sensitivity or attentiveness, I should say, to deadlines. He knows if he has an exam, he prepares himself.
AP, of course, you need more work as much as you use our students' mind, and more homework, more projects, harder tests.
I would say, take a deep breath and just understand and know that it's truly going to benefit your child.
When I speak to parents, a lot of times they'll say, well, I'm not sure exactly what I can do to assist them. And I'll tell you, you're not taking the class. Your child's taking the class. You're not expected to be the teacher. You're not expected to be the professor walking into the content. That's available. But you can still be supportive at home.
And as a parent, I would encourage all parents to get in, be involved, be a part, be a support to the school system, to the teachers, but most of all to your students. Clayton County Public Schools has designed a centralized hub that pulls back the curtain and exposes what all students and parents need to know to start building that pathway toward a career. We're introducing the CCPS high-performance platform. With a couple of clicks, parents and students are able to get information about advanced learning opportunities.
Thank you, Jada. So at this time, I'll briefly go through the plan. As you saw from the video, the students who are speaking about their exposure there's several skills that they're developing. They said they're learning how to tackle challenges. They're learning how to be organized, how to handle the demands of the workload, how not to be procrastinated. All of these skills are necessary right beyond high school. And so Specifically, I'm going to address the why, the what, and the how. So starting with phase 1 for next year, we are going to increase the rigor for K-5 by requiring an interdisciplinary STEM-based research project. So it goes beyond the traditional science project. We really want our students, grade appropriate, but to go through a problem-based research where they are using skills from all content areas and how they connect to solve the various problems that we face. So K-5, the focus will be on an interdisciplinary approach, and many of the math standards from middle school will push down to grade 5. Also for next year, our rising 6th graders will take accelerated math. That means all of 6th grade standards with some of the 7th grade standards. So that's why it's called an accelerated course, because we're accelerating the pacing of our kids so that by 8th grade, they're ready for what thing? Algebra 1, high school Algebra 1. And we know that Algebra 1 is critical to high school, to our college entry exams that reflect a lot of math. And we saw data today that shared that many of our kids during their first year of college need remediation in math. And so we want to make sure that our students are exposed to that high school math early so that they have opportunities in their schedule in high school for more advanced math. Also, next year, all of our rising 9th graders will be required to take at least one advanced placement course. Advanced placement is for College Board, is a college level course where if our students make a 3 or higher, they could potentially get college credit. But the research tells us that even if they do not make a 3 or higher, they are better prepared for college by being in the class and being exposed to that rigor. So our 9th graders will take at least one advanced placement course, and our 9th graders will select a CTAE pathway for the various career clusters. So we want our students early thinking about what are your career goals, your career aspirations, and not waiting until senior year to start figuring it out. So really the advisement is occurring now in middle school so that by rising 9th grader, they have a pathway chosen. Our data tells us that students who are in a CTAE pathway and complete, 95% of them are graduating. And so we want our students to be exposed to the rigor of the coursework as well as have that work-ready experience so they have the employability skills. The supports, you heard the students and the parents say, and the teacher, the supports that are essential. So some of the supports will involve just communicating, making sure, starting here, that our community understands the why. The why is we have a portion of kids who are leaving who are ready. We need more of our students because our vision emphasizes all students. So that's the why. We also want to continue providing website resources. We're going to provide ongoing training for our teachers. We know it's going to take a lot of training. We'll have a summer institute for teachers and students. So the students who we'll prioritize will be rising 6th graders and rising 9th graders since they're most immediately impacted. So that's a part of the training. Also, we are building in support classes. So even though we're ramping up the rigor, our students will have like a foundational reading if their data indicates they need the foundation of reading. If our students are they receive special ed services, the IEP will still be the governing of the continuum of services. Our students who need language acquisition support, they will still get that support. And so you probably see on the slide prior that indicates all of the departments and divisions that came together to really help us put together a comprehensive plan to support our students. And so this is phase 1 for next year. We really need the support in telling the story, just emphasizing that we have an opportunity to change the outcomes for our district. Will we have 100% next year scoring on or above grade level? Probably not, but we should have more students better prepared because they're being exposed. It's all about the access and the exposure that we're wanting for more of our students. So that concludes my portion for today.
Thank you, Doctor. So Dr. Colbert is going to talk about student dress.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Right. Well, after several meetings with high school principals and gathering various data points from students, parents, and teachers, it was decided to recommend to the Board of Education to change the uniform dress policy to a standard dress expectation. The difference we're recommending is that students will not be required to wear a specific school color, 9 through 12. We're recommending that this change is only for students in high school grades 9 through 12. And we're saying that we're not going to require students to wear a white shirt or a blue shirt for this specific school, but we're saying that and we're requiring students to dress appropriately. And what that means is that we would have to market to our students what do we mean, what is appropriate dress. Because our students face, if you look at uniform dress, principals are spending a great deal of time standing at the doors when students come in the door. You have on the wrong shirt, you have on the wrong pants. That takes a lot of that instructional leader's time. And often, something as simple as uniform dress can lead to a high-level discipline infraction. For example, we would consider being out of uniform as a level 1 infraction. Should be easily corrected. But students come in having a bad morning with their parents. So guess what? I say you're in the wrong color shirt. That student, you see all these other blank students coming in here, you want to stop me. Now, the student becomes disrespectful. So now we're going from a level 1 infraction, now we have a level 3 infraction. Disrespect, failure to follow procedures. So now the student we have to pull that student out of that class. So during those meetings, the high school principals, it was a tough conversation. When you're dealing with uniform, that's a very difficult conversation to have. Because we're splitting. We're splitting. But we think, and speaking with the high school principals, we're ready to move forward and want to recommend to the board that we want to change that policy. Will there be challenges? Yes. But oftentimes when you look at things like uniform dress, 90% of the students are going to meet your expectation. But oftentimes we make decisions based on that 10% that's not going to meet that expectation. 90% of our students are going to do exactly what we expect. But the challenge comes in, we have to train that 10%. We have to market to our students until we get to that point. If you decided to move forward with it, what do we mean by dress expectation? Okay? Any questions? Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. As you see on your agenda, the vote for the next clause will take place on March 19th. The referendum language is specific as far as the capital projects listed. Going off memory, Marl High School, a new Marl High School, a new elementary in the city of Lovejoy, as well as a new middle school in the city of Forest Park. We also intend to construct a new college career academy, as well as renovate the existing facilities. SPLOSTEC will also fund the purchase of new buses, as well as the one-to-one initiative where we're providing a Chromebook for our students. All in all, we're looking to collect roughly $280 million. And again, the vote will take place on March 19th. Glad to answer any questions at the end of this, or during the Q&A session.
Thank you, Ron. So you heard from Dr. Lee about advanced learning expectations. You've heard Dr. Colbert mention our recommendation to the board to implement student dress expectations grades 9 through 12 and move away from the uniform per se. Of course, that recommendation requires or expects that grades K through 8th grade will remain in uniform. And so I would say this, that it is so important, and this is where, as a community, as we did the survey, and we're very pleased with the feedback from the community, because honestly, it showed that everybody has their view about uniforms. But where we're trying to take the district is beyond the conversation about what students are wearing in school, which is important, to a conversation about where are you going after you finish school. What are you going to do when you finish that K-12 experience? And often what has been my experience, and I'm sure if you ask around in districts that have uniforms, oftentimes there is a perception that certain folk need uniforms so they can behave better. Clearly, dress does impact the way we govern ourselves, but I've seen a whole lot of well-dressed folk act ignorant. I've seen a lot of well-dressed folk behave inappropriately. So while dress is very important, it's really not just about the dress, is it? Our conversation in Clayton has to be to elevate our students' thinking about who they are fundamentally, which I believe will impact the way they dress, but most importantly, will impact their opportunities, which I grant you will impact the way they carry themselves. We have got to start having different conversations in Clayton County. Different conversations. We cannot be defined by what may have happened years ago. If we look at our discipline data, for the most part, our kids behave very well. When you walk into any school, they're not out of control. And I go in schools almost every day. We have got to stop giving our children a bad rap. And so we decided to present to the board this recommendation for uniforms at the same time that we decided to increase our academic expectations. We've had this conversation, and we'll have it with our high school students, that because they'll come to me oftentimes when I visit schools or when I'm at the student advisory meetings. Dr. Beasley, can you do something about those uniforms? Well, I don't know if I can do something about the uniforms, but I tell you what, it makes it a lot easier to take a recommendation to the board to maybe move away from uniforms if all of y'all were doing better in classes. If discipline wasn't an issue in our county. If academically we could say that more of our kids, most of our kids are taking advanced learning and AP and dual enrollment, etc. Then we looked at our data, as you heard Dr. Lee share, that all the students, most of the students who take at least one career pathway graduate at a rate of 95%. Which just makes sense to me. If most of them graduate at a rate of 95% who take a career pathway, and our grad rate is a little over 70%, it just seems to me that you would want every student having at least what? One pathway. When we look at our data, most of our students who take advanced learning coursework, they're passing the Georgia Milestones Assessment. They're passing, most of them. So it just seems to me, and we've got some schools, for example, we've got a school, all of their 6th graders take accelerated math. Those students come from all schools in the district. They come from all schools in the district, all elementary schools. They land on this one campus, and they are required to take 6th grade accelerated math, and they have some of the highest performing students, not only in our county, but in the state of Georgia. So it just seems to me, why would you just have that success at one school when you need to duplicate that expectation, but not just one group of 6th grade students, but all 6th grade students across the district? Does it mean that all of them, as Dr. Lee said, will pass, earn a 3 or higher on an AP, or pass the GMAS the first year? Probably not, but I grant you we'll have a whole lot more who will. And they'll be better prepared for that next year. And they'll be better prepared every year, so when they become seniors, that high school diploma will mean something. It is time for Clayton County to redefine itself. We can define ourselves as a status quo community, and we do what everybody else is doing, getting the same outcomes, or we can decide that when you decide to come to Clayton County, you come to a school system, a county that has high expectations of all students. The question will be not what we're going to take. The question will be what are we going to take and what support are we going to provide in case they have challenges. Period. It's about redefining who we are, redefining and ensuring that our students are ready. We're getting commitments from colleges, presidents of colleges and universities to accept our students. I can assure you this, when they know about our advanced learning expectations, they are more than willing to tell their registrars, when you see an application from a student from Clayton County Public Schools, give that student strong consideration. Why? Because colleges want competitive students landing on their campuses in that freshman year and beyond. So I'll pause here to say, we may have different opinions, and we've shared this with the principals and all. We may have different approaches. I'm open to the best approach that's good for kids. Not just a small group of kids. It's just not enough for those of us who know how to navigate the system to get our kids where they ought to go. Those of us who may have children who have the benefit of a college-educated parent. But what about all children, regardless of one's zip code? Ensuring that regardless of the school that they attend, they have access and opportunity to high expectations. And so at this time, we'll entertain any questions and try to provide answers. If we can't answer, we'll leave you me. We'll go back, research it, and get back to you or with you. Dr. Smith said, Dr. Beasley, you probably should tell them that relative to SPLOST, there's no plan B. What does that mean? Well, I can't tell you how to vote as a superintendent on March 19th. I can tell you this. If you don't vote yes, you will not get any of those things. You will not get a new Morrow High School. You will not get a new College and Career Academy. You will not get any more upgrades. You will not get any more HVAC systems. And so the question is, how do you feel about the direction we're moving? I think we've had great SPLOST implementations, Ronnie. The funds have been used to do just that. And so I don't think we even have to beat that dead horse, do we? The question is, what's important for our children? I don't think any of us are missing that penny on the dollar. As a matter of fact, I grant most of you don't go buy a Burger King somewhere today. And you won't even think about that penny on the dollar. So think about that. But let's do what's good for our children. What's good to keep the district moving forward. And so March 19th, write that date down. We got to get the word out. Everybody's got to go out. Vote your preference. Think about our children, and we'll continue to remind our community about that date. Okay, any questions? And so we'll pass the mic if we have any questions. We did that good.
Thank you so much for sharing all of what's going on and what things are to come. My question is, what things are you doing to help prepare the instructors and those who are about to come in and help these students? Are you already starting some of that, or is that coming up in the next few months? How's that?
That's a good question. I'll start and I'll toss it to Dr. Lee. We're preparing all of our teachers in the district. We have over 3,000 teachers. We're preparing them in rigor and relevance. We're showing them basically what it means to have a rigorous classroom. Not teaching to low expectations, but how to teach to high expectations and to provide support to students to reach those expectations. We're training teachers in our high impact instructional practice, how to ask high order questions, how to get students to ask high order questions, how to engage in academic discourse or conversations, how to read closely and then to cite evidence from your text that you're reading. Those are very, very important critical thinking skills, and we're teaching those. Relative to the advanced learning, we'll be rolling out some elementary project-based opportunities so students can get acclimated to doing projects and thinking critically in the elementary level, not just in one subject, but in all subjects. And then, of course, relative to the increased advanced learning expectations, Dr. Lee will please share that we are working to train those teachers, and including our teachers who will be the ones identified to teach our 9th graders as they take those advanced placement classes. So I'll let Dr. Lee share exactly what we're doing.
Dr. Beasley, you hit a lot of it. Now, the benefit of our partnership with one of our national advanced learning organizations, the National Math and Science Initiative, they provide ongoing training at all of our high schools. I think we're newly bringing on North Clayton High. So now we'll have all of our high schools. They each get a mentor who is still a teacher in the classroom, who's an expert content teacher, and they get side-by-side coaching and support. They also, and I was there this past Saturday, they teach our students on Saturdays through an academy. And while these expert national instructors are teaching our students, our instructors get to observe and even ask questions, to clarify their own thinking. So through our College Board and our NIMSI, we'll have training throughout the school year, but then this summer, we'll have laying the foundation, and that's training for K-up. So starting with the pipeline of readiness for our students. Then we'll have a specific Advanced Learning Institute for those teachers teaching advanced learning. And then, as I mentioned before, we'll have the summer bridge to support our students. And so we're pulling on people beyond us. And so as I mentioned, this is unique. There's nowhere else we could go to really get a model. And so our national partners are helping us to provide that support.
I didn't say my last part, but the other thing I was thinking about is as a parent of an elementary student, of course, one of the things that's important to me is knowing that not only that the teachers are prepared, but that we're going to be prepared too. So I look forward to what you all are going to be helping the parents to do so that we can help the students as well. You all can't do it alone. So I look forward to how you all are going to bring the parents in to help support the students.
And in terms of content, we are entrusting the content development part on our teachers and our leaders. And all of us. So for parents, we'll be training you all in terms of the disposition of a student and how to support at home in terms of scheduling, staying on task, following up, make sure the students stay in goals and meeting those goals. But in terms of the discipline and content part, we're going to make sure the teachers have the knowledge base. And it will be a process, but on that part will reside with the instructors. But definitely the parents will have their support, and we'll have ongoing sessions with the parents.
I'll just add, I don't know if you received, we sent out, and I think we're preparing to send out again at the beginning of the first semester, and we'll send it out again this semester. But we sent out a framework that allows parents to see how to ask questions. And we're trying to get our students to get acclimated to asking and responding to questions of the highest order. And so we'll send that out, and I would say from one parent to another parent, one of the best things you can do is look at that and start asking questions in that, using those type structures or those stems that are provided. We need our kids really feeling real comfortable about asking higher order questions. Oftentimes I've heard Dr. Lee and others say questions that don't necessarily have an answer. We need the teachers asking those questions, we need the students asking those questions, and we need our parents asking those questions of our students and providing them the opportunity to respond to those questions. The more we do that, I think the long term, we're going to see our outcomes improve. One area that we've got an opportunity in our county and we're working is we need more of our parents who choose to have babies to ensure that they're getting certain experiences before they even hit pre-K. People don't realize, but the brain research is very clear. The brain does a lot of developing in those first 5 years. And so oral communication is very important. And we need our parents to understand how whenever they have a conversation with the baby, it's helping us long term. Whenever they spend time in providing a positive environment, it's helping long term. I'll tell you this, even when you provide an environment where it's calm and children feel safe, it's impacting the brain. It's helping them long term. And so we're working with the WIC program, the various hospitals. Our department has created little kits, literacy kits for parents when they have babies, so they should get a kit from Clayton County Public Schools with some activities that they can do with those newborn babies. Consistently doing, we believe that's going to help us long term as well. So a lot of training, a lot of approaches or strategies occurring, but we believe that all of these strategies are going to converge to help us actually improve our outcomes over the long term. Short term, we're seeing improvement, but we're ready to really knock that improvement out the park. And so we believe that these strategies are going to help us to do that long term. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
In terms of the advanced placement, I have two questions actually. How is the college credit obtained? And then do you want me to wait?
Well, go ahead, you go ahead.
Okay, and then my second question is kind of loaded. The new College and Career Academy. When is it scheduled to be finished, and what will be offered there in terms of what grade levels and courses?
So in terms of advanced placement, and again, it depends on the college, but most colleges accept a 3 or higher in the college equivalent course. And so if your student, let's say they want to go to Georgia Tech may require 4s and 5s in the college equivalent course, but it would be at least a minimum of a 3 or higher in order to obtain that college credit. But it's very important that you check the college of interest, because it may vary in terms of if it's going to be a 3, a 4, or a 5, depending on, again, that specific discipline. A 1 or 2 you will not obtain college credit with a 1 or 2 on the AP exams. All exams are administered in May. And I was just going to add, some of our students are taking the option of dual enrollment, where they're getting early college experiences. And so once they're in dual enrollment, they have a passing grade as long as the college accepts the credit, the course of the credit from the course, then it can go onto their transcript for college credit as well.
Will dual enrollment also be available at the same schools and not just select schools now?
Well, it's already been available at every high school, yes. We actually doubled our test numbers. Like over 700 kids are now dual enrollment, and additionally, an extra 700 students.
But you should have access to dual enrollment at your high school. If you don't, let Dr. Lee know.
Well, I've been surprised in 9th grade, so she did.
And what we'll add into the presentation, our advanced learning coordinator created what she's calling a high performance hub. Essentially, it's a 2-pager with links to things about advanced placement, dual enrollment, technical colleges, just all of those, anything that would provide support for advanced learning and accelerated learning. And so I'll add the link into the presentation.
Dr. Lee, I guess it's important to share the reason we're doing advanced placement and dual enrollment, and we'll probably continue to do both. Some people say, well, why don't you do one versus the other? Because there are some conversations out there. There are some colleges that they will not accept dual enrollment credit. There are some that will only accept AP credit if the student makes a 3, 4, 5 on the AP. There are various reasons why they do that. Some colleges believe that at least the AP is an international examination, and we know that if the student can pass this test, that they've been taught the content. They don't necessarily believe that they can ascertain that just because they obtain, or a kid goes to college and participate in a dual enrollment course. But it depends on the college, so there's no set standard. Just want parents to be aware, depending on the college that you're trying to get to, you probably should check to see if they'll accept advanced placement credit and or dual enrollment credit. Okay? To answer your second question, the College and Career Academy, so know this, that the College and Career Academy is predicated upon the passing of SPLOS on March 19th. It will serve all high schools. It will be centrally located. It will serve all high schools, and it will have, and honestly, we've not finalized the programs that will exist there, but I'll just give you an idea of the type of programs. We're looking at some very innovative programs, some programs that may not even exist today. We're working with various industries to help us figure it out, honestly. We know we want to do something relative to aviation. As a matter of fact, we've got some pretty good ideas that when you go up to the academy, since we're in Clayton County and the airport is in Clayton County, you're going to, certain parts of the academy, you'll feel like you're at the airport. But we want to acknowledge that there are many careers in aviation that our students can prepare for, whether it be being a pilot, being a, let's say, a customer service representative, being a, whatever field it is, an aviation mechanic, etc. So we know that's one of the areas. We're also looking at, I'm having a mental block right now. Logistics. Looking at logistics, and that's a big area for this county. And so we want to prepare our students for all aspects of logistics, so they'll have options beyond their K-12 experience. Can you think of any other? Technical incubators. So we're trying to figure out exactly, we want our kids to get the Google experience and the Apple experience, and so they can easily matriculate into those careers. And so we're looking at those technical areas that will allow our students to learn, get the certifications or the certificates that they may need in order to easily flow into those areas. We're working with Clayton State, Atlanta Metro, Atlanta Technical College to ensure that we have a robust offerings, slate of offerings. We're even looking at a sports medicine, but not just sports medicine. It's important because we've got a lot of professional teams here. There are not only those who are on the field, there are those jobs that are off the field. And so we're looking at sports medicine. We not only those who actually play sports and who work with the players as they're dealing with injuries, but even officiating. We want to build partnerships with the NFL, the NBA, and all of those national organizations so our students can be in a pipeline to those jobs as well. So we're looking at officiating. So when I say sports medicine, anything related to sports, we're making sure that our kids, we realize that a lot of the pathways have common courses like the first year or the second year, and maybe that third year, that third course may be different. So we're trying to structure it in such a way that our kids can earn as many pathways as possible. With us going, we didn't mention this, with us going to block schedule next year, our kids can earn up to 8 credits a year. Over 4 years, 32 credits. They only need, 23 to graduate? So they got room in their schedule to participate in dual enrollment and to complete pathways. And our goal is that every kid will have at least one pathway completed when he or she walks across that stage. Community component. And so you better help me out because I'm having a mental block.
Outreach, adult ed.
That's correct. Thank you. There are conversations about the academy being open to members of our community after the school day in the event that they want to take advantage of these pathways that we're developing. Basically, it becomes like a workforce development opportunity for our students who may have graduated, but they're just not skilled in the areas that they want to go to. And so we're looking at some community, like a community school, if you will.
Will there also be opportunities for co-op programs where students can...
Internships, and yes. Every program has to have that. As a matter of fact, we are working to restructure that right now so that we can get more of our students. Right now, we see a lot of our students in the fast food industry. And so we're not pleased with that. So we're working right now. Dr. Chillis is our career technology coordinator. She's working right now with our co-op staff members so we can be more strategic and get our kids working not just in fast food restaurants, but in all the industries, even the ones that we mentioned here today. Oh, the firefighter is a pathway. It currently is at Mundiesville and Drew High School, but that's a pathway that exists today. And just so you'll know, since you mentioned pathways, we have a medical magnet. Drew High School is a medical magnet. North Clayton High School is now an early college academy, which means that the students who go there can also graduate from high school with an associate degree if they follow that path. And so we've got that option, and you know Elite Scholars is an early college academy as well.
Jonesboro.
Riverdale High School. Riverdale High School also has a derived program, so students who go there, not only are they earning their high school diplomas, they're earning an associate degree, and I want to say that's in computer science. Riverdale High School has one of the highest grad rates. You know, people talk about the hood. The folk in the hood are handling their business at Riverdale High School. So, as a matter of fact, out of the 11 high schools, 7 of our high schools are above 80% in their grad rate, in case you didn't know. And the other 4 in the 70s, and the rate that they increase, they'll be in the 80s within a year or so. 2 of the 7 are at 100%. So people need to understand that, I don't know what you may think about Clayton, but you probably need to get more informed. Okay? And they mentioned Jonesboro. We have the Political Leadership Academy at Jonesboro High School, but we're implementing the Cambridge program. That's an international diploma program and the international baccalaureate program being implemented in our district. We're the only school system in the state of Georgia to be approved and implement the Cambridge program. And oftentimes, if a student completes a Cambridge diploma, he or she can be accepted automatically to certain schools that recognize that diploma. And these are oftentimes very high, rigorous, affluent schools. That's what Clayton County is doing. Say that again. The Cambridge will be at, I want to say that will be at Elite Scholars, and then the International Baccalaureate will be at Jonesboro, I believe.
Next question.
I know we're talking about the high schoolers, but I have a question pertaining to elementary. I know Clayton County is growing, and that means an influx of families. And I'm just wondering, what are we doing to about classroom size? You know, making sure that is on the radar, because as we expand our instructors, the student to teacher ratio. How are we looking at that? Because I know the numbers are pretty high.
Well, let me say this. You say the numbers are high, and I'll just tell everybody, our student-teacher ratios are the same for Gwinnett County school system.
It doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything. But just remember this, in order to reduce the teacher-student ratio, that means I have to increase the number of teachers. And the budget has to support that. Once the budget supports that, not only 1 year, but it has to sustain that. Then that's when we'll bring to the board recommendations to reduce class size. But I'll tell you this.
So what can we do? What can we do as citizens to help you move to get to that point?
Let me tell you, you want the real good answer?
No, I want the real answer.
The real answer. That's what I mean. When I say the real, what can we do as citizens? We need more revenue. We need our tax values to go up. So we need families to buy houses in Clayton County. The only reason families are going to come to Clayton County is we got to get all the drama off the news. We got to start saying positive things about our school system. We got to realize that when you get on the news and you talk about your county, all you're doing is telling folks, don't buy property there. We need revenue in order to get more funds earned through our property values. We're getting families to come to Clayton County, but we need to make sure that as these families come, that they're taking full advantage. We need our parents supporting, working with the principals and teachers to get these kids reading on or above grade level, because it all matters. So there's not a one response to your question, because all these matter. You got to have the right leadership in the school system. You can't have a whole bunch of drama either. You can't be on the news with a bunch of carrying on, as my grandmother would say. You gotta have a community that people believe has high expectations of all its what? Children. And you gotta continue to improve. We've got to continue to improve the quality of teachers, the quality of instruction. And when funds allow themselves or demonstrate that we're able to make a recommendation to the board to increase the teacher-student ratio, which means we got to increase teachers. So let me tell you what else has to happen. You got to have teachers to fill these vacancies. You say, well, what does that take? It takes all of us, because we can have recruitment efforts. But when teachers graduate from college and they Google Clayton County and all that comes up is drama, and I don't mean Clayton County Public Schools, I mean Clayton County. That determines where people want to live. And so they're looking for high-performing communities, aren't they? They're looking for communities where they can raise their children, aren't they? All of that matters. And so how do we decrease the teacher-student ratio? We got to do all those things. And we got to keep doing all those things year after year after year, so that when young people graduate and those who are looking for other job opportunities, they'll consider coming to Clayton County. We're one of the highest paying school districts in the metro area. I think we're number 2 or 3. So it's not pay. It's all these other things. And I don't mind telling. I tell the commissioners, the chairman, Turner, I tell them all. Y'all gotta watch what you put out on that media. We gotta work with Sheriff Hill. Because all of that creates a culture in the community. But people are coming to this community, whether you realize it or not. We had a 10% increase in the population within 10 years.
I know that. That's why I was asking.
That's it. They're coming. They're coming.
Influx from the school system, staffing, and the ratio.
So as we tighten up fiscally, as we continue to increase revenue and keep expenditures, we believe that we'll be able to bring, and I'd like to bring a recommendation that is a significant, like, reducing a class size by 1 or 2 kids, I don't know how much difference that makes. But if we can reduce by 10 kids, but you gotta have teachers. Because if you reduce that ratio, you're gonna create vacancies. And you gotta be able to put, I will not have kids sitting in classes with sub with 10 kids when another teacher has 10 kids and when we can just combine those classes. We won't do that. But it all matters. And then let me say this to you. Y'all got to encourage young people of color to go into education. Oh yes. You better. The research is clear. There's research recently I just read that says that when a young person of color has the benefit by the 3rd grade of having a teacher of color, that increases the likelihood that they will not only graduate from high school but go to college. So no, all of our students won't have teachers of color, but we need more teachers of color. Period. And so it all matters. I hope I gave you a good answer. Okay.
Good evening, Dr. Beasley.
Good evening.
I have kind of a different perspective. I do have a couple of questions. Am I correct that the College Career Academy will replace the current Morrow High School?
That's correct. That's what we're discussing right now. That is correct.
Because as a homeowner in that area, many of us are wondering how that will impact our communities. And what happens to the students that currently go to Morrow High School? They're going to be bused to the new high school?
That's correct.
Okay, all right.
And just so that everyone here will know, the new Morrow High School will be on the same campus as the beautiful East Clayton Elementary School. It's about 120 acres there, and so it'll be away, but it'll be on the same location.
Okay, and the thing is as a homeowner and taxpayer, we are already paying some of us $4,000 or $5,000 a year in taxes. And I know you're talking about, we need more revenue, we need spouse and things like that. But for many of the homeowners, and that we have a lot of renters, which is a big issue. People are renting and not buying homes, so therefore, the tax revenue is not what it should be, and as well as businesses. And so we not only need more people to buy homes in the area, county residents who, we were supposed to get like a Papa Do's. They may still be coming, but we need to let them know that people have money here, and if their businesses come here, they will flourish. So Dr. Beasley is right. We do have to be our own best advocate in the public eye, because over the years we've developed a bad reputation. I have been in Clayton County since 1977, so I remember why they instituted the dress code. I remember when Addison Middle School was a place that people were clamoring to get their children into because it had the best reputation in the state. So we need to get that back again. So I just wanted to, some people were asking me about the impact of that change on our neighboring communities, because we have a lot of residential districts, older folks who are concerned about the traffic.
I think you'll have less traffic because the students won't drive there, they'll be bused there. And only those who are scheduled to be there will be bused there. And so, like now you have a lot of kids walking to and from the campus, and traffic, that won't be the case. It will be like a central office location, but it's a school that will only serve children. So the students will come when their schedule tells them to come, and we'll take them back to their home schools.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Good evening. I am Eileen Graham. I moved here in September. So of course I'm watching. Had a chance to talk with the deputy superintendent, and my daughter was homeschooled. So, I wanted to approach and I guess ask a question about testing. Because one of the things that I was nervous about is what I saw online. And so when I went to Jonesboro Middle, I'm just one of those parents, I want to meet the maintenance people, the cafeteria staff. And so I wanted to ask you, because it seems kind of counterproductive. I know all over the United States, I feel children are over-tested. And I don't know, I don't see it on the agenda. Maybe I can talk to someone, maybe you can refer me. But I want to understand the testing as far as the benchmarks and the, I guess the eye rating and those types. So I want to fully understand how that helps us or how that hurts us, and who are our advocates as far as testing, or, I'm not going to allow my daughter to take the state exams because I feel like it hurts us, but I want to fully understand as a superintendent what your position is on that.
Well, you have staff here, and I would always say, always feel free to have a conversation with your principal, because your principal is uniquely positioned to discuss assessment as it relates to the school, whether it be district benchmarks, local assessments, meaning the school assessment, or the state assessment, the Georgia milestones. But you should know, and I'll just say this, we are in the process, the State Board of Education has approved for Clayton County, along with a group of school systems, to basically engage in a pilot in an effort to move away from the state assessments. So we are one of those few districts that have decided to take advantage of one of the House bills that basically allows us to use some type of innovation relative to assessment. And so we also believe that the Georgia milestone is an end-of-the-fact assessment. It doesn't tell us anything we don't already know. And so we rather would have a tool that would allow us throughout the year to assess students and use that data to inform instruction. That will be a 5-year phase, and we have a few schools starting the pilot this year, and some schools will come on board next year. But within the next 3 to 5 years, our plan is to move away from the state assessment, and we'll use this, hopefully the state will allow us to use the assessment that we're using, or whichever one they choose to approve, as our assessment in lieu of the state assessment. We do have district benchmarks, and Dr. Lee is here to respond to any questions that you do have, but we use that to see how the students are doing to help us inform teacher training.
So what can parents do as far as, or what does that look like as far as that every student succeeds Morcease act? Like, will we get in trouble for the pushback? Like, I guess.
Oh, like if you opt out?
Yeah.
No, because if they push me too much, I'll ask all my parents to opt out. We do use the data
for scheduling purposes and support purposes. So some of the data points, whether it's the benchmark or even our Georgia milestones, we use that data to determine what additional supports may be needed for our students the next year. And we also use that data to determine the trend of trajectory of performance that has occurred. So for instance, the Georgia milestones provides us with a Lexile, a readability level. For students who are reading well below grade level, there are certain additional supports that are put in place to assist our students. And the same thing with math. But we have, as you mentioned, the iReady. We can use that data as well as our district benchmarks as another measure if you choose to have your child opt out of testing.
So you'll opt out. Anyone else?
Well, I think that's something that people look at as a person that just moves to the area. You know, if I looked at just the computer or what came up on the exam, do I want to buy a house because I still have a daughter in school? So I'm just, you know, I know we have these conversations about that and buying a home, but as a parent, I'm just making my decision based on the school or based on what I see. So I gave y'all a chance because the people I talk to, but are people really going to go that extra mile to actually go to the school or visit the school?
Well, that's one reason you see the advanced learning. I don't know if you were here for the advanced learnings. That's one reason we're disrupting our traditional processes to get more kids to really accelerate those outcomes for more kids. So when you do go online, or others like you do go online, they'll see. We believe our data only reflects, not that our kids can't, it only reflects the expectations that we have of our kids. And what we're doing is amping up those expectations. So Dr. Lee, we've already done that part of the program, but she can talk to you about those expectations if you'd like to.
Thank you to Dr. Beasley and their remarkable staff and the great job that's being done in Clayton. I wanted to ask, how are we doing as a community with pre-K placement?
Well, that's a good question. I'll just say this. We only serve about 25% of our kids in pre-K. So our goal, of course, we increased the number of pre-K seats this year. The state was able, and that's all because of state funding and then space considerations as well. We increased the number of pre-K seats, I want to say about by number of classes by 5 classrooms. So that's about 100 or so seats this year. But we really have an opportunity if we could get more of our families with kids in pre-K. Of course, we're providing pre-K, but there are also the private providers of pre-K as well. And I don't know, I've not seen any data, maybe this is something we can get. I don't know how many kids in our county are actually taking advantage of the private pre-K. But I wish we would get more parents taking full advantage of pre-K. What we've noticed is that the kids who come to us for pre-K, by the time they get to 3rd grade, oftentimes those kids are always on grade level, and we maintain them on grade level. So think about that. We have about 25% on average across the board proficient on GMAT. We serve about 25% of our kids in pre-K. It just makes sense to us that if we could get more families taking advantage of pre-K, which means we got to have more seats, right? That's one reason, a part of our SPLOS funding, we will be building an early learning center. So we haven't decided on how many students it will be able to serve, but our goal is to serve more than what we're currently serving. And I believe it will probably be pre-K to maybe 2nd or 3rd grade, maybe 2nd grade, so we can really target. You all, this is key. We got to target our kids who need that extra support to get them reading on or above grade level by 3rd grade, because the research is clear. If you don't get them reading on or above grade level by 3rd grade, more than likely they'll not catch up. And And so we've got to do more. I think that's probably why you asked that question. And so more to come in that area. I wish we could serve 100% of our kids, but we know that requires more funding. And then if we can get the local budget relieved of some expenditures, then that could be an expense that the local budget picks up. At the same time, reduce class sizes. All starts adding up. That's right.
And speaking of money, what measures are being taken to replace the funds that may be lost from the fuel tax?
Very good question. So right now, Ronnie is working with Delta, so we're getting a check from Delta. We started in July of last year, getting a check from Delta, so they're paying us the funds that we would have been getting had the law not changed. Those checks will stop technically in December of 2019. So we're working with the delegation, the Clayton delegation, to pursue some legislative remedies, including possibly changing some laws that will allow us hopefully to recapture revenue. We're hopefully working with Atlanta to see if there are some opportunities there where they acknowledge that we've been negatively impacted by the airport in a way that we appreciate the airport, but because so many of the acreage at the airport is in Clayton County that we don't collect property taxes on. We want some type of acknowledgement that somehow we need to benefit from that property in some way, even though the law may not allow us to collect property taxes. So we're working with Mayor Bottoms, who understands the situation, to see what type of remedies we can come up with. And just more to come in that area. And I'm not saying we won't go back to Delta and say, well, December is almost here. Can you agree to help a brother out? I mean, what can they tell me? Yes or no, right?
All right, question about early learning. To help parents and to bring families into Clayton County, the Early Learning Center, what would it look like? Or would you think about including pre-K 3 and not just that pre-K 4, but those kids who may be identified?
We haven't decided yet. I just throw that out there, but it will have early learning specialists there. We'll have reading specialists there, but we'll also have a health center there. We want them to get their health, their dental, their vision, etc. at that one location. And so, yeah, we will consider third grade if we see that we need to go up to third grade. I'm sorry, you meant 3-year-old? Oh, yes, the smaller babies. Yes, we are. We are going to do that.
Possibly the social services wraparound.
That's correct. We want to put a WIC center there. We want to make it so convenient for parents that they come to us. Because we need to connect with these babies quickly. And we believe that if we can connect with these parents quickly, when not far after they're born, then we can help those parents get these babies ready for school. And so, yes, I appreciate you for sharing that. May need to add you to the committee as we start planning for it. Give you some work to do, right? More work to do.
Now, I got more of a statement as opposed to a question. The data-driven society is not going anywhere. I work for a data company, assessment software and whatnot. And just to go back to something you said about changing the narrative of education, one thing we need to do as a society, we need to learn or teach these kids how to test, because I work with teachers all over the U.S., and one of the things they do is not necessarily cheat, but it's a way that they teach these kids how to get higher scores and whatnot. So that's what we got to start doing as well, is teaching these kids how to test, because if they don't know how to test, of course they're going to test more.
Well, and we agree with you to teach children test-taking strategies, because you're right. I don't care what field you go into now, you got to take a look. You got to take a test. And that's one reason we balance that, the opt-outers. We balance that philosophy with, but you still need to let your kids get in the habit of taking some type of standardized test, because if they want to be doctors or lawyers or teachers or whatever, nurses, LPNs, whatever they go in now, you got to take some type of what? Test, and so they got to get used to that. That's just the reality. Appreciate that. Is that it?
Dr. Beasley, if I may, we can recognize another board member that came in before his time, Dr. Alika Anderson, Vice Chair.
Give her a hand.
We also are honored to have our former superintendent.
Is that Dr. Pulliam over there? Good to see. Let's give Dr. Pulliam a hand. She served and now she keeps up with me. Good. Give her something to do.
I really have a comment, and I'm kind of going to, former Clayton County teacher, retired teacher, but I want to kind of piggyback on some of the things that were being said, and I think it's very important. I have a granddaughter. I started to teach her reading when she was a year old. She didn't know that's what she was doing, but that's what I started doing. She just had certain words and sounds, but I also started teaching her, giving her questions. I would ask her questions so that she could learn how to think through what I was asking her. And I think this is very important with our children at an early age, teaching them questions and how to answer questions. And then that moves forward to testing. Right. If you teach them how to answer questions, when they read these questions on tests, they can think through, okay, now what are they really asking me?
You must have come late.
I did.
Because didn't we discuss that, you all? Asking questions.
Well, then
you're doing good. Just reaffirm, validate. Very good. Thanks everybody for being here on the night, and I know we've got a county commissioner meeting. If you are so inclined for another meeting, enjoy yourselves. I will go on. Y'all have a good one. Thanks for being here.